Hey fellow guitar players, my name is Steve Stine here from guitarzoom.com. And if the fretboard looks like a jumbled mess of dots to you, you're in the right place. Today we're going to be cracking the code and making those notes easy to learn. We're diving into how to memorize these notes and unlock the fretboard, even if you've tried and failed before or you think it's just too complicated. I'm going to show you a trick that'll kickstart your note learning journey in just 5 minutes. You'll start memorizing the notes, opening up a whole new world of music understanding. And this will level up your theory, give you a deeper understanding of the fretboard, and open up a universe of cool soloing choices. And the best part? It's really easy. So if you've got 5 minutes and you can connect the dots, you can totally do this. I call this the fretboard note finder formula, and I'm going to show you the big picture concept right now. And if you stick around until the end, we're actually going to dive into how to memorize the notes across the guitar this way on each string. I've got some tips for you on that as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we want to do here is understand a connect the dot topic or concept. So if I was to take the guitar now, and let's just assume that we knew that this note on the 6th string was A. And again, we'll come back to this later in the video, but if we knew this note was A, what we can do is we can start learning to visualize across the fretboard to find where the other A's are. Now, of course, you're going to be able to do this anywhere you go. I'm just using A as an example, but what I could do then is go from A, which is the 5th fret of the 6th string, and I could head down here to the 7th fret of the 4th string. Now, both those notes are A's. They're called octaves of each other. Sounds kind of like Jimi Hendrix. Now, what we're going to do is from this A, we're going to jump all the way down to the 1st string at the 5th fret as well, and that's also an A. So we have 3 A's in this one spot. Now, if you think about it, both these strings, the 6th string and the 1st string, are both E strings. So no matter where you go on the guitar, if this is A, so is this. If this is G, so is this. If this is F, so is this. So those are always the same. But now we've got this one in the middle here, 2 frets higher on the 4th string. So those are your A's in this one spot on the guitar. Now, if you were in G, it'd look exactly the same, except you'd be on the 3rd fret going to the 5th fret. If you were on F sharp, doesn't matter where you go, you're going to get the same effect every time. So now we've got the notes memorized in this position. So what we're going to do is choose the note that's the furthest this direction, and we're going to build off of that note. So we're going to go back to this note right here, the 7th fret of the 5th string. And now we're going to put our first finger on there, and we're going to attach onto the 10th fret of the 2nd string. So we're going from the 4th string to the 2nd string. So I have going from 6 to 4 to 1, and now we're going to go over to this 4th string here, and we're going to attach onto the 2nd string, 10th fret. So what you want to do is memorize that idea of being able to play 5, 7, 5, and then this 7 would connect over to this 10 right here. Now, even if you knew all the notes on your guitar, it's nice to be able to memorize things in this manner, because when you're actually improvising and looking for pitches, this is a great way to be able to find them in a relative sense, not just in a sense of knowing all the notes on each one of your strings, but being able to find something very quickly that you need that's somewhere near where you already are on the fretboard. So if I'm sitting here, I can find this one right here. Now, if I go to the 10th fret of the 2nd string, put my first finger on there, now I can go up to the 12th fret of the 5th string. So now I have... Now I'm going to move over to that note, which is the 12th fret of the 5th string, and I'm going to go to the 14th fret of the 3rd string. Now I'm on the 14th fret, so what I'm going to do is put my first finger there, and now I've got the 1st string of the 17th fret and the 6th string of the 17th fret, because I'm starting all over again. So I've reached the octave up here. So what that tells me is I can actually go this direction as well until I run out of frets. So from this 5, I could put my pinky on there, go to the 3rd string, 2nd fret there. Now I'm back where I started from. Sorry. Right up there. So that's how this would be a simple memorization idea of being able to find the root or a note that you're looking for. So for instance, if you were looking for F sharp, you could go to F sharp and you could start this whole pattern. Now we don't have anything below us that we can use, but we can work our way this direction. And now we're back where we started from. Okay? Hey, I'd like to give you a free pass to my best courses that will take your playing to the next level fast. Just go to guitar-zoom.com and get started for free. And there's also a link in the description. Thanks. So that's how the idea works, this little trick that you can memorize these notes across the fretboard. Now, you could learn the system, but you could also actually memorize these notes as well. Choose a note, whether it's A or E or G or something like that, and then just embed that into your brain. Just burn the idea into your brain as you practice this. So now what I want to do is I want to go into the idea of memorizing the notes across the sixth string this way, which then you can use that same method to do all the other strings. So if that's what you needed, you can be done. But if you want to keep going, let's go ahead and talk about this. So when people try and memorize the notes on the sixth string, oftentimes when I used to teach this, we know this is an E. So what we need to do is memorize all the notes coming up the guitar this way. Well, in order to do that, we need to know what the notes are. So when we're memorizing these notes, we're memorizing the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. There's no H or I or J or something like that, just A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And then some of these notes get what we call sharps and flats. So if you think about a piano, for instance, just very quickly, it's okay if you don't play, but if you look at a piano or visualize it in your head, there's a bunch of white keys and a bunch of black keys. Well, there's a couple of spots where there's no black key in between the white keys. So a very simple way to try and memorize this when you're trying to learn the notes on your guitar is to think of it like this. A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Everybody gets a black key, or a sharp we'll call it for now, okay? Except for the notes B and E. There's no black key between B and C, and there's no black key between E and F. So for now, let's think about it that way. There's no B sharp, and there's no E sharp. So here's what we have, very simply. We have the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, which are 7 different white keys. And then those notes would all get black keys, which would be 14 notes. But there's 2 notes that don't get the black key, which is B and E, which spells the word B. Okay, B and E spells B. So if we just remember that idea and start memorizing that across the guitar. So here's what I used to teach is we would take that idea and we would pluck the sixth string, for instance, and that note would be E. So the next note then would be F, not E sharp, because there isn't an E sharp. We're just going straight from E to F. Remember, there's no black key, so E to F, and then F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B. Remember, B to C, there's no black key, so B, C, we go straight to C, and then C sharp, D, D sharp, and then E. When we get to this one, you're probably going to notice up on the top or maybe on the side, it's got 2 dots. It's telling you you've gone an octave. That's what those 2 dots mean. So I started with E, and now I'm back on E. Okay, so then I just keep going. 0 and 12 would be E, octaves different. And then I'd have 1 and 13, which would be F, and 2 and 14, which would be F sharp, and so on. Now, let's not worry about all of this for now, because it's just a repeat of the first part. But that's how I used to teach that to students, is learning, no black key between B and C and E and F, and we would memorize these notes. And then they'd come back to the next lesson, and I'd say, okay, so let's go through your notes. And I would say, okay, find B, and they would count up to B. And I would say, find D, and they would count up to D. So I started thinking, well, what's an easier way of being able to do this so they don't have to count? They just know where their notes are. So I came up with the idea of what I call the primary note system, which is A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, those white keys. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take the odd-numbered frets on the guitar, which have the dots or the designs or whatever you call it. You might not have anything at the first fret, but your other frets would have something. And we're going to memorize the notes relative to that. So if we take the sixth string, for instance, and I pluck this, it's E. If I go to the first fret, it's F. That's an odd number. If I go to the third fret, it's G. So I could learn E, F, and G. Just take 30 seconds and burn that into my brain. E, F, G, 0, 1, 3. E is open, and then 1, 3. F, G. And then maybe grab another note, A, at the 5th fret. Another odd number, F, G, A. Okay, and just, again, you don't have to memorize everything all at once, but you can just take it in small pieces. F, G, A, 1, 3, 5. So maybe today you just memorize 1, 3, 5, F, G, and A. Okay, and then we get to the 7th fret, that's B. 1, 3, 5, 7, F, G, A, B. Now, obviously, everything's not always going to line up perfectly, which is the next example. So we're memorizing the odd-numbered frets, but that doesn't mean that the primary notes are always going to work on the odd-numbered frets. So watch this. We're on F, G, A, B, which is 1, 3, 5, 7. Well, B is not on an odd number. B is on 8. And, okay, sorry, C. I'm sorry, C. And then D is on 10. So they're surrounding the odd number here. They're surrounding it. So what I'm going to learn on this spot right here is that there's a bit of an accidental or a red flag for me that I need to memorize that C and D surround this dot. So F, G, A, B, C, and D. F, G, A, B, C, and D. 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 10. 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 10. And notice how I keep, reiterating the point of the note as well as the fret number, so I can learn both of those at the same time. So now, maybe I'm at work or I'm at school or I'm doing whatever, and I can think in my head, F, G, A, B, C, D is 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 10. 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 10. And I just keep burning that into my brain, thinking about that. F, G, A, B, C, and D. Because once I've got those primary notes in place, for instance, this is G. It just is. So if I want G sharp, I move up one. That's G sharp. If I want G flat, I move back one. So what that tells us is then we have F, for instance, F and G. F sharp is right here. G flat is also right here. We call those enharmonics, which means that we have one note that has two different names, F sharp or G flat. And for our situation, we can call it either one of those things. Again, when you start learning key signatures and all that kind of stuff, then it might make a difference. But for right now, we just want to learn what the name of the note is so we can find it. So if somebody says F sharp minor, for instance, we know where F sharp is. Okay? And then we can utilize what we learned earlier to figure out where the F sharps are. And of course, you can use that same idea across the other 5 strings as well. The only thing I would caution you is to make sure that you don't move on to the other strings until you've really developed the 6th string, because that 6th string is so important for finding all of these other things. And it's also good for finding your scales, where to start, maybe your bar chords, all those sorts of things. Again, if you've studied any of that stuff, you know the value of knowing the notes on your 6th string. And then you'd move to the 5th string once you're confident with the 6th string. All right? Hopefully that makes sense to you and gives you something to think about and something to work on. Thank you for watching this video. If you're enjoying this video and you'd like to support the channel so we can continue to bring you more free content, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications and let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, if you'd like more in-depth training and courses, go to guitarzoom.com and get started for free today.